Welcome back. You're still watching Sprint, and I'm still joined with Abdulrahman Mejdi, sports presenter with القاهرة الناس, and also the former media officer with the Egyptian national team. Now, just very quickly, what do you think of Rafael Nadal return after the sort of the knee injury and returning back to have his fifth title ever since his return? It's
a big challenge for him because now, for 7 or 8 months without playing actually like serious games is quite a long time. For me, it's always entertaining to watch Nadal playing. My favorite would be Nadal and Murray, especially lately Murray is doing fine too.
Yes.
I'm not a huge tennis fan, but these two I like them, and also the Williams in the women's tennis.
Right. And now let's move on to Serena Williams and going to Roland Garros. Like last year, she managed to win the Madrid Open, but she did not manage to win Roland Garros. She's hoping that this is not going to be the same case for this year. Let's have a look at her victory over Maria Sharapova in Madrid Open.
After the toss. Any questions?
World number 1 Serena Williams racked up the 50th title of her illustrious 18-year career when she thumped Maria Sharapova 6-1, 6-4 to defend her Madrid Open crown on Sunday. Williams' victory, her 4th tournament success of 2013 and only the 7th on clay since she turned pro in 1995, prevented Sharapova from leapfrogging her to the top of the rankings. It also showed the 31-year-old American, a 15 times Grand Slam singles champion, is on red-hot form as she prepares her bid to add to her sole French Open title at Roland Garros starting later this month. Sharapova struggled to find her range as Williams battered winners to all corners to race into a one-set lead. The Russian world number 2 mounted a fight back at the start of the second set, but could not sustain it. Williams broke her for a 5th time in the match to secure a first title on red clay. The Madrid courts were blue last year since the 2002 French Open. Sharapova, 26, the French Open champion, has a woeful record against Williams. She has only beaten her twice in 15 attempts and never on clay, with both victories coming almost a decade ago. Williams, the oldest player to hold the number 1 ranking, is 10th on the all-time list for most career titles.
0-40. Juego de tu partido, Williams. 2-0. 6-1.
Gracias a Dios, gracias a todas ustedes, gracias a... Estoy muy feliz, gracias a María, gracias.
Welcome back. You're still watching Sprint, and moving on now to the African Champions League. After we brought you the roundup for the latest the tennis events, and definitely the Madrid Open. I'm still joined with Abdulrahman Mejdi, media officer, former media officer with the Egyptian national team. first, let's have a look at the CAF Champions League and the draw. And that's mainly the top story of the week, having both teams, Ahli and Zamalek, once again within the same group. This time, it might be a little bit different, having some sort of turbulence within Ahli. Ahli at the previous year also had this sort of turbulence of Manuel Jose moving and Hassan Bedri taking over. But now it's a different story, having Zamalek from the other side with this, 10 winning streaks and a solid performance. So how are you looking at this?
Zamalek, like you said, is having a good season so far, one of the greatest starts for a season. 10 wins so far, and then one loss, but then they bounced back. I think it has two sides, like one positive side and one negative side. Like the positive side is still now they have two other teams, of course, with them in the group. One team from Congo, one team from South Africa. But the idea of having both Ahli and Zamalek in the same group would help if they're both in good form, which is actually partially true now. Like they're both doing fine. If they both win the other two teams, they can take each other to the second round. Yes. This is the part of it. But of course, also the negative part that they will be playing each other, so they will be dropping points. But I think in a group like this, there's a good chance that they make it both together to the semifinals, because Orlando Pirates they knocked Mazembe out, yes, which is of course a big team, but still Orlando Pirates I think is not the team that is very scary for Ahli and Zamalek.
And without the enough experience, I guess, when it comes to the group stages within the African Champions League.
Yeah, and history, even like if you look back to history, like the South African teams, they don't really do well with the Egyptians. Like I think we have like a bit over them. And for the
Leopards,
and for the Leopards from Congo, we've seen this team in the Super Cup versus Al Ahly here. And Al Ahly, like the team was missing a lot of important players, yes, exactly. And still they managed to win 2-1, if I remember right. Yeah, 2-1. So I don't think for both teams there shouldn't be some like if things go normally
and smooth.
Yeah.
What do you think of the second group, having Esperance Cotton Sport of Cameroon and Lebola of Angola and Siwi San Pedro of Ivory Coast? A lot of new names, at least to me. So
the last two teams from Ivory Coast and Angola, for me, are new too. But when you look to the teams from Cote d'Ivoire, anyway, you don't have any easy games there. I mean, being with a team like Orlando Pirates, I think it's a little bit, well, if you go to South Africa, it's much better than you go to Cote d'Ivoire, for example. So I think Ahli and Zamalek are also lucky to be with these two teams, not with the team from Cote d'Ivoire that you know nothing about, and the team from the fourth, Angola. I mean, yeah. But of course, Cotton Sport and Esperance, the big teams and big reputations, and Cotton Sport played against Ahli in final in the Champions League a few years ago, and was a tough competitor. It's a tough group, but still the top favorites would be still Esperance and Cotton Sport, I think, by far than the other two teams.
Yes. If we go back to Ahli and Zamalek, because this is, it might be, like you mentioned, a very positive thing if you have the two teams qualifying, especially that Ahli has the experience and they can manage to pick up their performance all of a sudden. And they are very result-oriented. While at the same time, Zamalek and Vieira is really doing good with Zamalek for the very first time. Zamalek is doing, for years, is performing really on a high foot when it comes to the Egyptian Premier League. And it seems that they are having this sort of consistent play. So they missed the 11th consecutive win, definitely. When it comes in terms to a draw, not even a loss. But again, they are aiming to dominate this, the Premier League, and will be heading. So, would you think that it would remain to be a fact of a positive matter, having these relatively new entrants to the group stage of the African Champions League?
It's worth mentioning also when you speak about the form, by the way, for Al Ahly. Al Ahly now lately has been for like a lot of games playing without a group of very important players. Like now, Ahli is getting back Hussam Ghali in the group stage, getting back a guy like Ram Rabia, getting back a guy like Fathi.
Even Geddo, I
will still have, like, we need after 3 months, yeah, so maybe he's not catching the first game or the first couple of games, but I think like these players will make massive difference. So this can help also, like you said, Ahli gaining his form back, and the Malik is this year is different, and the spirit and Vieira, and I think the chemistry is different, but the Malik, if things go in the club the same way it's going now, without money being paid, without salaries, the end of the season is approaching, which is like in June, which is also the time when the group stage is beginning. Yes. So if things remain like this, and now 5 players are going to, till now they haven't renewed their contracts. So it's opposite situations. Al Ahly is getting players back. Zamalek is losing a lot of players, losing a lot of spirit with everything happening in the club, with the management, with the board. So it's tough. They need to.
Do you think there might be a little bit of a switch here?
Of course.
With the downturn in terms of Zamalek, but an upside boost in terms of.
Yeah, I mean, if you look like for a month or two in the future look, I think you can call it like this.
It might be a different situation. How would you see this, you know, the first match of the July, the vicinity of 19th to 21st of July, the first derby match between Ahly and Zamalek, especially that there has been a very long gap where the spectators didn't see Ahly and Zamalek together, and they didn't meet. And also after the tragic incidents, so it's quite a little bit of a sensitive situation returning back to such an important derby.
They last met, I think, in the African Champions League 2 last year in the group stage, so which is like a long time ago. It was Ahly won a game,
a year,
draw, yeah. So now it's not a derby. You cannot call it a derby now when it's with no fans. Like you can call it. The whole league is like a training games. All of this, like you just watch and you can hear the voices of the coaches calling the players. It's losing.
It's a little bit awkward,
awkward. True. So. Yeah, it's. I mean, of course, it's interesting still to see both Ahly and Zamalek in the same pitch, same field, playing a game, a serious game in the African Champions League, and everybody will be like, you know, there's big hunger for real football now, because even this league this year is not like with one of the best leagues, 2 groups, and it's different, and Ahly is one group and Zamalek is another, so not very good.
If we move to from the African Champions League to another African competition, the Confederation Cup, and also the draw is this week. How are you looking at the draw, knowing Ismaili and MP and their situation there?
Look, let's speak about 2 phases in this draw. The first phase is Ismaili facing Benzerti, the Tunisia, and MP and San George, and we've seen those 2 teams, of course, against Zamalek and against Ahly. And now we know that both teams are good teams, for sure, so, which is good. I mean, which is good to know. No surprises now. When MP is playing San George, you cannot say something like Zamalek, then when they said they were surprised with how good San George are. Now, this is not the case for MP. They know that they need to prepare very well. And for Benzerti now, maybe Ismaili, of course, is now also losing a lot of his players, which is tough. And I think Ismaili's situation is the hardest out of the 4 teams and the Egyptian teams playing in Africa because of because of their situation in the club. But still, the good thing that they've seen the Benzerti playing against Al Ahly. The other part is the draw that takes them after they qualify from this phase. They're expecting very tough groups, both of them, very, very tough groups. Because Sfaxien is out, Otwal from Sahel, Negm Saheli, Otwal from Tunisia is out, Mazembe is out. All these teams are now going to the Confederations Cup and have made it out to this stage. So I think the groups in the Confederation Cup will be seriously tough for Ismaili and MP.
And that's could be the tough news for Ismaili and MP, because at the beginning we thought that they have this sort of room to finally win a Confederation Cup.
Yes.
But then after the good news for Ahly and Zamalek, where these teams, the top teams, are moving down to the Confederation Cup, it will make their lives difficult, I guess.
Of course, so let's see. Let's take it step by step, of course, because now they have 2 serious like